What I'm going to do today is do a little practice battle. One thing nice about doing a simulation versus doing a competitive battle is that you just kind of follow the historic way things happened and roll dice to kind of see what happened with the battle. So that's what I'm going to do, is just give it a little test run here before I'll bring other players into this. And what you see right here is the 2nd Wisconsin, the 19th Indiana, and the 1st Wisconsin of the Iron Brigade advancing into the woods, Bronner's Woods, toward Bronner's Farm. Up here is Bronner's Farm, and defending Bronner's Farm are is the Stonewall Brigade of the 1st and 5th Virginia, the 33rd Virginia, the 2nd and 27th Virginia, and General Baylor is actually in charge of this brigade right now, as the former commander has been killed, and of course Stonewall Jackson was advanced to Major General in command of the entire Army wing. So that's how we're going to start off the game, and I believe the first thing that's going to happen is the Federals are going to move up and try to dislodge the Stonewall Brigade. Here the 3 Iron Brigade units have moved up. The one on the left, which is the 19th Indiana, moves up and takes cover behind the fence near Bronner's house. The 2nd Wisconsin historically moved up and delivered a point-blank blast into the Stonewall Brigade, and of course in their turn the Stonewall Brigade gets their revenge. And then lastly the 7th Wisconsin, which is coming through the woods, they kind of came up online, but it looks like it's a piecemeal attack, and basically that's what this whole battle is. It's just a series of piecemeal attacks. So what I'm going to do now is roll out the dice and see if we're able to inflict any casualties on the Stonewall Brigade. So the first shot is going to be by the 2nd Wisconsin, and they have moved to short range, and so therefore they do not have to pay for the shooting through the fence. So they get 3 shots for 4s to try to inflict some damage. Okay, the 2nd Wisconsin went ahead and did 1 casualty and disordered the 1st Stonewall Brigade unit, and now the 19th Indiana is going to open fire on one of the smaller Virginia units. All right, through some lucky dice rolling, the Iron Brigade goes ahead and disorders and does a casualty to the 33rd Virginia and 1 casualty to the 5th Virginia, and disordered them as well. So that was a good effect, a very devastating opening volley. But like I said, they are going to get their comeuppance when this entire brigade starts firing back at them. Okay, at the very top of the table, we have the 26th and the 60th Georgia regiments coming on the table. These were actually, in the real battle, were led on by General Jackson himself, because they were, I guess, lollygagging and not ready to go, and these were the only 2 regiments that were ready to advance. So this unit comes onto the table, and also the 2 artillery units are going to come on. They are both 6-pound smoothbores. One of them is a 6-gun battery and one is a 4-gun battery. So not very big guns at this point, but this is really early in the war. It's 1862. So the standardization of a lot of 12-pound Napoleons really hasn't happened yet. You can see here that the artillery is moving up for support. In the orchard here, one of the Stonewall Brigade's smaller units moved out of the orchard and moved into position behind the house, and so they could take a shot at the 2nd Wisconsin, who's basically the only easy target to shoot at. The one of the larger units of the Stonewall Brigade moves over to behind the wall over here, along with both Georgia units. I rolled 2 moves for the 26th Georgia and for the 60th Georgia. Then the unit that moved over there with them is the 27th Virginia. And so they're all online. Now the 2 Georgia regiments, because they rolled 2 moves, cannot move 2 times and fire. we just allow one move and fire. So this turn, they're spending their whole turn getting up into position, but it's not going to be good for the Iron Brigade with all those regiments online. Numerically, right now, I would say the Iron Brigade's it's probably an even fight, but you know, as you can see, it's kind of a, since they're spread out and piecemealed, it's not really even. I mean, if they were all up online, it might be, but right now they are scattered all over. So it's going to take a minute for the Iron Brigade to get all of their units online and able to have an effective fire. So after all the Confederate firing, the 2nd Wisconsin took it on the chin. They took 2 casualties and were disordered from the fire. So they will be firing at a penalty next turn because of being disordered. But anyway, there's more Union reinforcements coming, but just like the real battle, they came in on the wrong side of the world. So it leaves, like I said, it's just a piecemeal battle as these regiments come on the table and just try to get into line. So that's what we're going to do, is try to get the Union out and forming battle line in the middle of the table here. Over on this side of the battlefield, the Union reinforcements hit the table, and though I rolled pretty high for 2 of the units, I kind of decided to keep them online because I really need them to act as a brigade as opposed to acting like a bunch of piecemeal attacks. So the 76th New York and the 56th Pennsylvania, those were actually from Doubleday's division, came onto the table to reinforce the 6th Wisconsin, which is the unit you see at this unit right here. The 6th Wisconsin, they reinforced them, and Phil tried to fill in the gap. But you could see, if you was looking at zoom out, you could see where the table is. There's a huge gap between the 2 units, so it's going to take a while for everybody to form a battle line here. So rather than just going haphazardly forward, the Iron Brigade goes ahead and forms a battle line. Okay, what I did do was invoke a disorderly retreat, and what that allows me to do is to back up, even though I'm disordered. That's the only order that I can give the guys. So I back up. I guess the good thing is it takes me out of short range of their muskets, and that will make their fire against me a lot less effective. So I think that's a better idea than just standing out there in the middle of the field getting wailed on by 2 brigades. All right, the Union fire is particularly hot and deadly on the 33rd Virginia. As a matter of fact, they have now taken 3 casualties, are disordered, and actually have to take their first break test. So that's a tragedy for them. Adjacent to them is the all right, the Union fire is particularly hot and deadly on the 33rd Virginia. As a matter of fact, they have now taken 3 casualties, are disordered, and actually have to take their first break test. So that's a tragedy for them. Adjacent to them is the, looks like the 5th Virginia, and they take another casualty from fire from one of the other Wisconsin regiments. So the Stonewall Brigade is in a heap of trouble right now. Even over on the far side, next to the house, the last Wisconsin regiment, I'm sorry, the 19th Indiana, manages to disorder and to cause a casualty on the 4th Virginia. So, like I said, the Union firing is just wilting the Confederate line. So that was very unexpected, considering how elite the Stonewall Brigade is. We'll have to see what happens with the see if the Stonewall Brigade can survive that. In this game, you know, if a brigade loses half of its number, that brigade is broken for the purposes of the game. And so that is very devastating. If they lose one of their ace units, it's going to be very hard for the Confederates to survive. Over on this end of the line, the artillery is starting to land amongst the troops, but it's really having no effect. It's not because of the cover. It was just that it's a long shot, and the smoothbore cannons are not really very effective at extreme range. All right, very fortunately, the Virginia, I think it's the 33rd Virginia, passes their break test and are still in the battle, but they are in serious trouble. All right, two new Georgia regiments come on the table, the 61st and the 13th. I rolled poorly for them, so basically all they got was their base move. I gave them one free move because of coming on the table, because it only makes sense not to trap them at the edge of the table. So they came on. The two artillery batteries are moving forward, either trying to go to the top of Stony Ridge, which is up there, or to try to come over here and protect the fence. Went ahead and angled the two Georgia units toward this side of the table because of the appearance of these three units of Confederates, of Union troops here, one of them being very elite, and so thought maybe that they needed some help there. So, but you can see now that the Confederate numbers are piling on. It's just the hot shooting of the Iron Brigade that is keeping them in action. All right, despite basically everybody shooting at them, the 2nd Wisconsin is now shaken. They can take 4 casualties before they become shaken, and this turn they took just enough. I rolled 2 snake eyes for their saves for over on the when they were shot at by the last unit. So they're there. Maybe General Gibbon could come up and rally them and get one of their wounds back, but they're actually not in bad shape. I mean, these units are very tough. The Iron Brigade is, in the game rules, are one of the best units in the game, just like Hood's Texans are on the Confederate side, and the Stonewall Brigade is as well. The Stonewall Brigade is just taking more casualties because I'm rolling really well for the Union shooting. All right, on this end of the table, I failed to. I guess General Doubleday got confused and forgot to order his guys to do anything. Actually, he did order them. They just ignored him. So they're kind of stuck in the same place. The reinforcements come on this turn, though, and they rolled 2 moves, and they were able to easily get up and form a line. So now you have a proper Union brigade. I mean, that is, as far as unit strength, that's like 1,600 men, which is almost double the size, effectively, of some of these Confederate units, which are very low in unit strength. Over here, the Union troops go ahead and back up. Many of the Confederate units are armed with smoothbore muskets, which I know that in the actual battle, nobody understood these things, but we can since we're playing a game. But I went ahead and backed up all 3 units of the brigade back out of range of the smoothbores to force the Confederates to attack. And in this battle, the Confederates literally have to attack. I mean, I know it's not represented on the table, but there are 22,000 Confederates hiding just behind this hill. And so they started attacking, but like I said, everything was piecemealed in, so it took them a long time to gain a proper battle line in order to attack. And now with the so many of the Stonewall Brigade disordered, that basically the only attack they're going to be able to make is kind of piecemeally. So that's going to be good for the Union troops if they do that, or will they wait for reinforcements and then push forward all at one time? As you would predict, the long-range fire from the Union did not have the huge effect that it did early in the game. But General Gibbon did manage to rally the 2nd Wisconsin and got them so they're no longer shaken anymore. And they're in a good position behind a fence. Up on the Confederate side, one of the small, I think it's the 4th Virginia, has taken a casualty, and now they are shaken and have to take a break test. So that's the 2nd Virginia unit that has to take a break test. They are located, you can see, right behind the house here. So this next turn, the Virginians are going to have to step off and try to start taking the battle. Otherwise, the Union will easily win this game. I mean, the whole purpose of this particular battle is for the Confederates to break the Union brigades, so they have to be aggressive. If they just sit back, and it was a good idea to sit back while the Union was standing out in the open field. Well, now that they have realized that they are greatly outnumbered and starting to retreat, that's going to be they're going to have to do something on the Confederate side. Yep, the 4th Virginia failed their break test, and now they are skedaddling toward the table edge. So the Stonewall Brigade is ordered forward to pressure the falling back Union troops, and a lot of the reason is because they're out of range. So now they have to get within short range. Up in the recently vacated spot, the two Confederate artillery batteries unlimbered in that spot to sweep the field with fire. The rest of Trimble's brigade is coming on the table. It was quite large brigade. Two of the units from Georgia just vacillated and have not really done anything. The biggest bulk of them, 3 whole regiments, have moved up and taken a position on the line to open fire on the Union troops in the Broomsedge field. And it's always bad when you're behind protection and the other guys are out in the open. So we'll have to see what happens there. I think, though, that all of the Union troops are armed with rifles, and those are all armed with smoothbores. So the Union might be able to just stand back and firefight them. They're not under the pressure of the like the Confederates to break and win the attack. As also, these Confederate units are also moved into a shorter range for the cannons. Maybe the cannons on the Federal side will actually have some effect on the game. Okay, the Stonewall Brigade came forward, and with some decent shooting, they disordered the 19th Indiana and also inflicted yet another casualty on the 2nd Wisconsin, taking them back to the shaken status after they were just rallied in the last turn. Of course, they could be rallied again, but that hurts their firepower the next turn. And right now, you would have had a plumb shot with those guys standing out in the open field. It'd be a lot easier to hit them. So anyway, we'll have to see what happens when the Union returns fire. Like I said, you can see how the battle is going. It is very, very piecemeal, just like the actual battle is. And some of it is because of failed orders, and some of it is because of other things. And eventually, the Confederates are going to just have massive, massive, massive forces on the table, because, like I said, in the real battle, there was 22,000 people behind this area of the field. It just took them forever to get them onto the table. I'm guessing it's the din of battle because for some reason the Union troops on this side of the table, much like some of the Confederate regiments, have decided that they're just going to stand there for this turn. I mean, they're still going to be able to fire, and they are out of range of all the smoothbores of the of Trimble's unit. So Trimble's unit is going to have to move forward if they want to have an effect on the battle. The nice thing, though, is that the 5th Wisconsin is now on the flank of the Confederate line, and are going to start getting some juicy re-roll shots down their flank unless that they respond. Well, this turn, they cannot shoot because they rolled. No, I'm wrong. They can't shoot. They only made one move. One of the rules in this game is that you can't move. Even if you get 3 rolls or 3 moves, you can only do 1 move and shoot. So that's something that that's part of this game. And down here on this end, I did move one of the Iron Brigade units forward to short range. And the reason why is because that'll negate the fence in front of them this turn. And one of the units on the right there is already shaken. Or already is getting ready to be, it's at even dice as far as, so one more casualty on them could put them shaken and potentially break them. So that's the plan this turn. Hopefully I'll get both, I may even throw all 3 units into that one unit trying to kill it. But the one that's out in the open field is the biggest threat because it's the largest unit. So at least the shaken 2nd Wisconsin can take a shot at them. Unfortunately, General Gibbon, I guess, like I said, there must be a lot of din in the battlefield. General Gibbon failed to rally the 2nd Wisconsin, even though he did the previous turn, so they are still shaken, and so there will be a -1 to hit this turn. Yet another devastating round of Union musketry finds all 3 units that advance disordered, and each have taken, only one's disordered with no casualties. The next one is actually going to have to take a break test this turn. And the one in the field has taken 1 casualty and is disordered. I'm not making any of the saves for disordered. It's a 5 or better. And I'm just rolling really well for the Union and really bad for the Confederates. But who knows how it would go out in any different game. It could be two different things. So, all right, yet another of the Stonewall Brigade has ski-daddled and is headed toward the rear with the gear. So they are in grievous trouble. The rest of the Confederate lines need to attack and do something because the Union fire is just devastating them. And like I said, some of it's just good dice rolling, but good grief, they're just causing a lot of damage to the Confederate troops this turn. All right, the Georgia Regiment on the very end there has taken grievous wounds from basically a whole brigade firing at them, including one regiment down the flank. So they're not shaken, but they are disordered this turn. But believe it or not, there's actually more Confederates coming. So the Confederates are going to have to launch an attack to have any chance of pushing the Union off the table. So the Confederates move forward in a massive attack on the most of them probably concentrated on the hapless 2nd Wisconsin, since they've taken the most casualties. Over on the other side, the other brigade is advancing to take on the very slow-moving units on that side of Abner Doubleday, henceforth called the Turtle, because I think his units have failed their command role every turn, unlike the guys over on this flank, which have been superb. One of the things that I've done in this scenario is allowing the either Iron Brigade unit that you see over there to be part of that brigade, and normally it wasn't, but the rules in this game are so bad about having a unit out of command range that putting them on the table is just useless, because they would get no saves for morale or anything if they're that far away from their commander. So we just stick them in there and make them part of Doubleday's brigade. It's either that, or you can make them what they call marauders in the rule, which means they don't need to be in range for command. So that's a couple of ways to do it, but I think easier just making a part of Doubleday's command is the easiest way to make this work. The Confederate fire was very ineffective. Only thing that happened was that the 2nd Wisconsin was disordered this turn. They're already shaken, so they're pretty bad shape anyway. But the fact is they didn't take any casualties, so they don't have to take a break test this turn, which is very, very good for them. Okay, over on this flank, the Zouave Regiment took a galling fire from the attacking Confederates, took 2 casualties, and were disordered this turn. That'll teach them for following orders, because all their buddies are just standing around doing nothing, and they're the only unit that's followed orders in that. And what do they pay? And they pay for it by getting whacked by the attacking Confederates. So the Iron Brigade that's on this end of the table, they've decided to stay there. Gibbon would like to rally his guys, but I'm pretty sure that if they are disordered, you cannot give them an order. So the only order they can be given is to fall back. Right now, since they are kind of the bulwark against the Confederates, they are probably going to stay there and try to inflict some more casualties on the approaching Stonewall Brigade, because Stonewall Brigade is teetering on the edge of death, and so it'd be really good to try to knock out one of the Confederate brigades. So the Union fire wasn't super effective, but they did manage to keep 2 units disordered in the Stonewall Brigade. The other unit that had taken casualties before had moved up to the wall and is getting ready to give a proper thumping on the unfortunate Iron Brigade. The Iron Brigade really needs to hold out this turn. On this end of the table, the Union forces have now taken up position along the fence to defend against the attack of the Confederate brigade that's coming at them. The one Iron Brigade unit is kind of out there on it by itself, but he's still in command range. The Zouaves down here, though, I'm afraid are going to take a penalty next turn, but they were already disordered, so I just went ahead and backed them down over here behind the fence to cover, so that there's not a chance to break them so easily. The good thing, I guess, is that the Confederates, if they attack in much closer, are going to start getting in the range of where those cannons can actually do something. Right now, it's just a long shot for them. After not doing anything the entire game, the artillery fires a devastating barrage at one of the Confederate regiments in the field, disordering one and taking a casualty. Over on the other side of the wall, the Iron Brigade unit there opens up and does a casualty to the opposing Confederate regiment, but does not do any disordering to them. So we're just ready for the next Confederate turn to see if they can move in and push some of these Union troops off the table. So this turn, the massive amount, basically a whole nother brigade of Confederates come on the table. I rolled 2 moves. They're basically already halfway across the table. They'll be able to get in position to affect the next game next turn. However, it is getting dark, and everybody's sight range and ranges are going down. Here, the brigade, I forgot whose brigade this is, I apologize, move up, and they are going to unleash Scunion upon the hapless 2nd Wisconsin and try to get rid of them. The Wisconsin regiments better start backing up in earnest, because the numbers are on them now. I mean, that's 1, 2, I don't know, got 9, 10 regiments attacking them. That's not going to be good. Over here, though, the Union's actually in pretty good shape now that they've got the wall there. Yes, this unit down here is out of command, the one that the Zouave unit's out of command, but the rest of them are there, and they're inflicting casualties upon the Confederate line, where they can't really do very much advancing because of being disordered. So that's going to hurt them. The arrival of these reinforcements up here, though, might find it be the end of the Iron Brigade unless they can haul ass back to the rear. So yeah, the 2nd Wisconsin took it on the chin. They are shaken at -2 now, I think, so they're going to have to take a break test. That's not going to be good for them. So we'll have to see what happens. I rolled a 3. The 2nd Wisconsin has evaporated, and now, because of General Gibbon's proximity, we're going to roll. If we get a 6, he may have taken himself as a casualty, but he has not, so he is good to go. The real significance of that 1 unit being gone is that it only takes 1 more unit being shaken for this unit to be destroyed. So with those reinforcements coming up, like I say, these 2 units down here are going to have to make a run for it. I mean, they can't stand there and take that kind of fire, especially when this brigade is going to be able to enter the woods and probably flank them next turn. So yeah, it's not looking good for the Iron Brigade over here. Again, the Zouaves have taken it on the chin. Like I said, the only unit that obeys their orders, and they're the ones catching it. They are shaken, -1, and are disordered. They are also out of command, so the odds of them passing this break test are not very high. And yeah, they're gone. Really unfortunate, because I mean, it took a fluke of good dice rolling. I rolled 3 6s to hit on one of the units, so just like all the other fluke things that have happened, I guess it happens on both sides. All right, we're into the next Union turn. I guess the good thing for the Union is that the ranges are going to start diminishing very rapidly. Right now, though, it's still 24 inches, which means they're still in musket range. So I better make some good dice rolls for these 2 remaining units over here to be able to retrograde successfully. All right, I roll a tragic boxcars. When I tried to move that unit of the Iron Brigade, they are going to be doomed. They are going to just get swarmed under as those other units commence to wailing on them, because they're going to be able to, as long as they pass their orders, they're going to be able to turn and fire into their flank. 1 unit was able to back off here and get away, but I needed both of them to fall back and live to tell about it. So I'm guessing that this is going to be bad for the Union side. All right, in this rule system, one of the things that I know that we've done in other rule systems is make sure that you stay online. With this rule system, you fire at the closest unit, and unfortunately that 1 unit was kind of staggered out there, so I was able to fire the entire brigade into it. So yeah, they've taken a horrible casualty, so we'll have to roll to see if they're still around. So yeah, that unit was shattered. So that brigade, they need to have 1 more unit shaken or disordered, and they'll break. Biggest problem I have is that even though I have Jackson's brigade, Stonewall Brigade over here, on the edge of being broke. I have no troops to do anything with. I am just so outnumbered now by just the sheer numbers of Confederate troops that all I can really do is just keep backing up and just praying that they roll bad dice. I know that's a weird thing in a tactical game. Please roll bad dice. I can't imagine that in real life, sitting here when you see somebody shooting at you and going, oh, please roll bad dice. All right, through horrifically bad dice, neither one of the reinforcement units moved, and so they just stood there this turn. One of the units here in the field failed its order move, but one of them did make it, so he's up there going to take a nice enfilade shot on the hapless, you know which unit that is, the 19th Indiana. They're going to catch it really bad because they've got units in the front and then that unit in the flank. It's going to be horrific. The rest of that brigade moved forward in the woods here to flank the last remaining unit. And like I said, the Iron Brigade, this is their last stand. Over here, I haven't really figured out what to do yet, so I'll make a move on that side and figure it out. Okay, with one unit disordered, I can't give them orders, but if I stick the other unit forward, it becomes the only target. So I'm afraid the same thing would happen if I moved it forward kind of piecemeal. The unit beyond the wall up there, it's one of those optional things because they are covered. I don't have to shoot at that unit. It's closer, even though that it is closer to these two units here than those units there. So just decided to stand pat and take a chance on not losing that brigade by making a stupid mistake. I don't know if it's the dust, the smoke, or the gathering darkness, but all those units did not do a single casualty to that regiment. So they may have a chance next turn to get the heck out of Dodge and yet survive the battle. So I was very, very shocked that did not happen. Over on this other side, there's only one unit that has a shot that's in range, and so we'll take a shot with them. The Confederates did manage to cause a wound on the Iron Brigade over there, but they were not disordered, so they will be able to shoot back and move normally next turn. So in the Union turn, I thought I would try to be innovative and move both of those regiments so that I could get everything concentrated on this unit up here. But I rolled like crap, and neither of the units do anything, so they're just going to have to fire normally at whatever unit that's close enough to them, which is going to be one of those out there in the field. But a real chance of delivering the killer blow on those guys. All right, General Gibbon has been able to give his unit an order, and they have formed a battle line intact. It is going to be very, very hard to get rid of these guys now that they are back together. This turn, the visibility goes to only 8 inches as it is now dark. So basically all of these guys up here are out of the game unless they can move forward. So we still do have units here in the woods that can move forward and fire. And of course all these units in the field can as well. So it's not over, but it might be over. Okay, the abhorrent Confederate command rolls happened, and so the units are again piecemeal, except this time they're going to have a couple of units that can shoot at the Iron Brigade down here at the same time. The problem is that unit that moved to the corner there is outside of 8 inches, so it can't shoot. This one's outside of 8 inches, so you really only have those 3 units there. Of course, one of them's at short, 2 of them are at very short range, so that gives them a +1 to hit, so that'll help a lot. Over here, the basically order everything move forward to get into range. The unit on the very right is barely in range of the closest unit there. So hopefully that they will. I mean, if they break 2 of those units in this turn, that'll. I mean, right now there's still a chance that the South could pull it out, but it is looking really bad because there's only one more turn after this. So the Confederates over here, they had a decent volley this turn. They did catch a couple of casualties and disrupted 2 of the units, but they're going to have to be able to continue that for the next turn and survive the return shot in the Union turn. All right, it's got to be the darkness because out of all those shots, I rolled no hits at all. You know, the thing is that the Iron Brigade has a fairly high morale save, especially with the general standing there. But that was ridiculous. They just didn't. I didn't really roll any good dice at all. So we'll have to see how the Iron Brigade. This is going to be their last turn. We'll see what they can do to scorch the Confederate attack. So the Union caused a couple of wounds, but did not disorder anybody, which is the best thing they could have done, is disorder somebody so they can't move next turn. So there's still a chance with the since the Confederates have one more turn to move in with a couple of regiments and maybe see if they can break one of these here and do them in. All right, over here the middle Confederate regiment took grievous casualties from I was just firing straight to each one. The unit here on the end didn't hit anything, but that one in the middle, they ended up doing 2 casualties and a disorder. So that puts that brigade at 1 unit shaken and 1 unit destroyed. So I'm thinking that that brigade is broken, should have no more effect on the game. So even on the last turn, we're just going to ignore the end of this table because all it really matters is what happens over here on the left to see if we can. Because honestly, I would say this game's pretty close to a draw, but we'll have to figure that out after the fact. So what happened here? Well, this unit who has had a charmed life took 3 casualties this turn, but because of the Iron Brigade's high stamina, they are not shaken. Otherwise, this unit would have broken. They've just had a charmed life the whole game. So since that unit wasn't broken, and the unit on the other side wasn't broken, this would be a clear-cut Union victory. I'll say that, and then I might take it back to a marginal victory, and I'll tell you why. Because part of the goal here would have been to rid the Union out of Bronner's Wood, which is a huge set of woods right here, right along the main highway, which is just off the map. So, but by getting by taking out the getting all the Union out of the woods, I would say that this actually becomes, instead of a overwhelming Union victory, it becomes more of a marginal victory because they were not able to hold the Confederates off the main road, which is their main supply route. The next night, though, if you've read anything about the battle, what happens the next day is that during the night the Union just skedaddles and leaves the battlefield to themselves. So the Confederates were all ready to attack the next day and wake up and there's nobody there. They took off during the night and matter of fact, left quite a few of their casualties there on the battlefield. And historically, how did I think this turned out? Well, the Iron Brigade took, if you figure that the Iron Brigade has 12 wounds or 12 hits, they lost 1, 2, 3, so they took 7 out of 12. So that's 50% casualties, let's call it. So that is very historically accurate. I think that what really doomed the Confederates was just failing command roles at key times, which is exactly how the real battle went with the Confederates just not being able to make a concentrated attack, because overwhelming numbers wise, if you'd have done this battle starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, all those Confederates would have came on there, they would have lined up and just blown them off the table. But having to stream on like they were was able to let the Union, in this case, have the victory. Over on this side of the table, I think it was just I think the big thing was that in some ways the lack of Union commands probably helped them to not get out to the middle of the table and get beat on out there. Being able to and use that fence as a bulwark against the attack was good. As you can see, this is really an even battle right here. This is 3 regiments against 3 regiments. Of course, there was a 4th one at one time, so it would actually. But then there was a 4th Union one at one time too. So this was really just as I call them in game, slap fighting, which is whoever has the best luck does it. And the Union artillery this game was absolutely atrocious. They did 1 hit, I think, the entire game. So and now once it gets down to dark, then there's really no point. They can't see anything when you get past like turn 6 or 7. So they lose effectiveness altogether. But I think maybe one of the things that would allow the game to be a little better for the Union side is to allow the artillery to move. And in this game, I did not allow them to move because historically they did not move because they were in such a good position on the hill. And there were some Confederate guns too that are off the table that we don't see that may have affected their ability to do things as well. So anyway, well, this was a good learning game for me just to practice some of the rules. going to have to look up a couple of things after the game. And I hope you enjoyed it, though. I think it was a good test of the rules, and I think I will add that as a secondary objective for the Confederates. If they clear all of the Union troops out of Bronner's Woods, that would give them would lessen their if they happen to lose, it would lessen that. But maybe that if they broke both Confederate brigades and secured Bronner's Woods, that would give them an overwhelming Confederate victory. So I think maybe that would be some good battle conditions for it there. Really happy with how everything looked, how the table turned out. I still do need to get in and, as you can see, some of these guys here, I still need to block some of them. But I've been painting a lot of troops, and so I just haven't had a chance to get it done. I mean, these over here are flocked, and I really like how they turned out. And they look nice, especially on that felt tabletop right there. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the battle, and I'll try to get you another one here pretty soon, hopefully with an opponent